like that, you're not going to be as effective as someone, say, in Ricotta gear who's mod swap to get the stats that they want. Now, the stats that you want is going to be, well, I'm on my character from, this character stats are a little outdated because this is copied over back getting ready for 1.2 is when I copied this character over. But you are going to want your surge to be at least 250, and you're going to want your crit to be at least 350. Those are where you want to get to at least first, and then you can start worrying about willpower and power. One really good mod that you'll be looking for a lot is mods that have both willpower and power, and you don't necessarily need the one that's tons of willpower because that one has oftentimes extra endurance. Endurance is kind of wasted calories, wasted space on the mod. Anytime you have high endurance on a thing, such as you did in the black hole gear stuff, it takes away from the other stats. So even though this particular mod doesn't have the highest willpower, it in a way is the best in mod slot because it has lots of power in addition to that willpower. And 1 point of willpower and 1 point of power contribute relatively equally to your damage per second. Willpower is a little bit better. It also buffs your crit very, very, very slightly. So, what is the point then of the new gear, you're asking, if it's not that much better and it's so heavy on crit, and if you wore it, you'd be weaker than someone in mod slotted Ricotta gear? Well, the point is that it gives you an extra option, is for one thing. That extra option allows you to say, oh, I need crit, I don't have to wear this particular item or that particular item. You can get it from one of these pieces, and the total stats are slightly more. You'll also notice that the armoring mods are best in mod slot. So if you really want to be best in slot, you'll notice here that if you want to have that 72 willpower on your armoring mod, well, then you have to get the Dreadguard drop. These are only drops. There's no tokens to save up. That being said, you know all those black hole tokens you've been saving up? Well, guess what? You get to still spend them on another very slight upgrade. Here we are. So we have, here's an example of one. Hazmat Strikers motivator. And wow, look at that. 350 black hole comms. That is a ton of black hole comms. Make no mistake about it. If you have this many black hole comms, getting one of these implants is an option. That being said, there are other things you can do with your black hole comms, such as legacy smuggling. And I'll get to legacy smuggling in a bit, because I tend to be ADD and get distracted really easily. But let me stop the recording and I'll hop on over to the daily comm vendor. Alright, I'm here at the black hole area on Corellia, and here's the mission support vendor. You'll notice that there are new relics available for purchase. So here's the 400 daily comm version, and you can see that it's a little bit better than the campaign version of a similar relic. That being said, the war hero relics that you can get from PvPing are still probably better. So if you are a PvPer and have war hero relics with tons of power on them, it's ultimately going to give you a more steady, more predictable healing per second than, say, these things are. But these things are pretty nice and they're pretty debatable. The clickies, especially for the DPSers, is going to be very debatable because if you click your clicky at the right time, it's absolutely going to be the best thing for you to really carry a group helping to take down bosses when they're vulnerable. So it's something to keep in mind, but unless you have 400 daily comms burning through your pocket, you're probably not going to get that one. Alright, so I'm here on Drummond Koss, right by the Galactic Trade Center. I guess it's called Galactic Trade Center. I hope it's not like the World Trade Center. In any event, here we are, and let's look at the concept of legacy smuggling. So you'll see this gear here. See how it's fully moddable gear that you can purchase for hundreds of thousands of credits? Gosh, that's expensive, and it has no mods. What do the devs intend for you to do with this stuff, you might be wondering? Well, what you do is you purchase something like, say, the boots. And this is assuming that, let's say I had an assassin that I wanted to gear up. You could, but, you know, if it was a different character, then I'd log on as that character, go buy the item, and then mail it to this character first. But let's assume that that I wanted to gear up an assassin. I would open this up, and I could pull the mods out of something else. Like, for example, I wanted, say, my alt to have this enhancement, and I wanted them to have this mod, and I wanted my alt to get geared up with black hole and ricotta stuff fast. You would just drop this stuff in. It will change it to bind to legacy. So now this item is bind to legacy, not bind on pickup. And I can send it over to my alt. So let me go send it to an alt. And the method that I'm going to send it to my alt is just getting a mail droid, composing a message, and I'm going to send it to Suze, who's also in the test center, and slap it in right there. We'll see if that works on test center. Alright, now I am logged on as Suze, the other character on test center, and let's check my mail. Ah, look! My alt, or main, sent me some gear. And look, I can wear it right away if I, say, didn't have the mods I wanted, or let's say, oh, I need, look, she actually does need the enhancement, actually. So I could either put the item on and wear it like that, or I could just strip the mods right out, and then put them into what I was wearing. Let's see if I can close all these windows so I can see for a moment. And it would be just like that. The reason why I'm telling you about this is I call this act legacy smuggling, and this is something else you can do with your black hole comms. Now that you're aware of how to get your alts, other gear, using legacy gear, and remember, you can do this with any kind of mods for any kind of class, because if I wanted to get the armoring mod for, like, you know anything, I just head on over to the supply section of the fleet here, purchase different gear with black hole comms or ricotta gear, whatever. You know, maybe I got the ricotta drop on an agent item because there were no agents in the raid, and I can use legacy smuggling to send it right over to my alt. You'll notice that there were mod extraction costs for this, and from everything I've talked, all the people I've talked to, it seems that the developers are aware that this is, you know, part of the process, and they consider it a credit sink. This is part of Endgame to gear up your alts and fast track them to get them into raids. Buying hundreds of thousands of credits worth of legacy gear just so you can put the mods in and pull them out and pay the extraction costs. So that's an alternative for you for using your black hole comms, as opposed to, say, buying one implant to show off and have the absolute best in slot implant. I don't consider having the absolute best in slot implant to be necessary to do any raid in Star Wars: The Old Republic. Alright, now I'm here in the combat training section of the fleet to show you another possible upgrade path for your PvE. I've previously mentioned that the War Hero gear has mods and enhancements you can strip out, and they're really good mods and enhancements because they're effectively black hole level. There's also new gear on the War Hero guy. It's Elite War Hero gear, it's called. So here's a Dreadguard saber staff, for example, and I'm gonna hover it over here, and you'll see that the enhancement on this Elite War Hero item is very similar to the enhancement on the new Dreadguard Stalker saber staff. So this enhancement is almost there, almost quite, not quite, and you'll find a lot of juicy mods in PvP gear that you can pull into PvE stuff. I don't know if the developers intend PvP to be an upgrade path, a means by which you can get great gear for player versus environment content, but it absolutely is a path. And one of the best relics in the game is the War Hero Relic of Boundless Ages, because it has 113 power in addition to the 41 endurance at all times. And you don't have to click anything, you don't have to get a proc, there's no randomness to it, it just is. Okay, so I'm doing this all kind of haphazardly, but I just want to talk a little bit about Endgame and Tor being about mod swapping. I'm telling you about where to get all these great mods, but I need to hammer home the idea that, hey, mod swapping is part of Endgame. If you're just wearing regular old ricotta gloves with the ricotta mods and ricotta everything all the way down, It's not the same strength as someone who's actually going ahead and swapping mods to optimize their stats. That means finding certain stats and going for them, minimizing others. You don't need expertise in PvE. It does nothing for you in raiding, or operations rather. You don't need endurance in operations. Anything, you might say more endurance is always good. Not necessarily, because remember, your consumption, how much health it takes from you, is based upon how much endurance you have. So the more endurance you have, the worse your power regeneration. Another point important about mod swapping is that you want to have augments on everything. I don't have them here because this was back in patch 1.1 that this character was copied over, I believe. Perhaps 1.2, I don't remember. But I had augments in my inventory, so it must have been coming up close time to do that in this game at that time. But in any event, augments add straight up stats to your gear. The best augments for you as healer are going to be the ones that have willpower on them. You can get ones that have maybe 1 point less of willpower and be pretty decent, but the more willpower you have, the better. If you can break 2,000 willpower, you're in really good shape. Another important note about gear in this particular patch is you don't have to give up your set piece bonus. Remember that for Ricotta and lower gear, that's Ricotta, Kalumi, or Kalamai, however you want to pronounce it, and Taiwanese gear, any set that has a rating of 140 or lower, that gear is the set piece bonus is tied to what's called the shell. The shell is what's left after you strip everything out. So if I strip everything out of this particular piece of gear, it will still have its set piece bonus, and you can see that. With War Hero gear or campaign gear or the new Dreadguard gear, it'll be tied to the armoring slot. And the armoring mod overrides the shell. So if I take the armoring mod from one set and put it into the shell of a Ricotta set, the armoring mod will take precedence, and that's a set piece bonus you will get. The long story short on this one is that you can have any set piece bonus and fully augmented gear, and except that you're going to have to probably look a certain way because you'll have to wear that shell until you get past Ricotta level. Once you're past Ricotta level, you can put it into any gear, and then it doesn't matter. I guess I should say past Black Hole level, because Black Hole does not have a set piece bonus, and you can put Black Hole mods into your Ricotta gear or into your Kalumi gear, Taiwanese gear, what have you, in order to get that set piece bonus. And the set piece bonuses are the same all the way up. I also want to mention that you should be using a moddable bracer and a moddable belt, an orange one. This is because the mods that you slap in there are going to be superior to the drop of the same type. Like if you get a campaign bracer drop, but you have Ricotta armoring and a Black Hole mod in there, this is going to be better than the campaign bracer. Another thing that's important to note is that power adrenals are not the best thing to use anymore for a sorcerer. Not a sorcerer healer anyway. This is because the attack adrenals, quote unquote, will actually decrease your healing. That's not good. One thing I like when I'm in a lot of trouble in an operation is pop my alacrity adrenal, perhaps recklessness, static barrier, and then just start popping off the heals as fast as I can. Recklessness, of course, guarantees a crit, which allows you to get some real big catch-up heals. In any event, I want to apologize for not making a better guide for you guys, but hopefully you got something out of it, and I'll include a link to my patch 1.2 guide, which, I did a little bit of a more professional job on, and it still has a lot of useful stuff in it. It's just important to remember what the changes are for patch 1.4. Alright, well, that's my guide to healing for patch 1.4 as a sorcerer in Endgame for Star Wars The Old Republic. Until next time or next whenever, may the dark side serve you well.